Hey guys, it's Domi, I'm Spooked, and welcome back to my Steven Universe review series. This episode is Steven Floats, and this was a pretty laid back episode from what we used to back in the more intense episodes of In Too Deep. This episode was not part of In Too Deep, but it was a fun episode, and it'll probably extend the hiatus for everyone now because most people have seen it, and you better watch it, otherwise you're probably going to get spoiled in the giant wait for that episode to come out. So this episode starts off with the gems returning back to the Crystal Temple. Steven is excited to be back, so he heads to the Big Donut to try get a donut. Steven then sees that the Big Donut is actually closing and he will have to come back the next morning to get a donut. Steven sets an alarm on his Cookie Cat clock to make sure he wakes up in time to get the first fresh donut. But while being excited, he jumps up super high and manages to float. While enjoying his new power, he jumps up too high and gets stuck in the air, and tries to contact Amethyst by throwing his sandals at her. The gems try to get him down easier, but they are no use as they can't weigh him down or anything like that. So he talks to them all through the night as he is gradually going down. By the morning, his timer has gone off and he realizes that he will be too late to get a donut. That's when he goes into panic and starts falling down faster, realizing that his powers are controlled over his emotions. Steven manages to think of good things like the crystal gems staying up with him all night to keep him company, which makes him feel happy, so he goes down faster. Steven then sprints to the Big Donut and manages to receive his donut, realizing he's not too late. So now let me move on to things I enjoyed about this episode. I loved this episode because it was more laid back. As the last few episodes we had more character development, and I loved the character development between Lapis and Peridot. And it was also more intense in the past few episodes, learning more about the backstories, stopping the cluster, and fighting Malachite, which was all an amazing event of In Too Deep. But I'm glad Steven Universe is back to its more laid-back episodes. Of course, I like the more intense episodes, but I like this episode because of its laid-backness. I also loved how we instantly get to learn more about Steven's powers and how he's learning new powers throughout the series. The last power I believe he got was to go into Gems Mines, which we saw in Gem Drill. But with more powers, this means if Yellow Diamond does come, we're going to get more powers and more ways to combat Yellow Diamond, which helps in the character development of Steven. Whether this means Stevonnie will be able to float, we are not sure at the moment, but hopefully it does because I'd like to see some flying intense sword action. What I also loved was how we were getting back into the Beach City residents now. We haven't seen Sadie since Sadie's song, I believe, and I'm not that fond of Sadie's song, but I loved how we're getting back into the characters again, like Mayor Dewey and Ronaldo, and I hope we get to see more of the background characters this season, which of course we'll be getting. It just feels so good to see them back because we know Steven Universe is about the gems, but the background characters I also love because, you know, you can relate to the humans where you can't really relate to the gems who have fought in wars and stuff. But yeah, I loved how the humans were back. But now I have to list some negatives. The one main negative I didn't like about this episode is that it felt a bit empty. As in, we got the part where Steven floats and the gems just talk to him for most of the episode, meaning nothing really happens. Of course it's centered about him, his gem and stuff, and his powers, but I would have liked to have seen more interaction with other people, such as like Sadie. Yeah, she got the few lines, but I didn't really like how the whole episode was just centered about Steven's floating abilities and how he got stuck in the air. I'd like to have seen him use his floating powers a bit more to accomplish stuff. I know at the end he crashed into the ceiling, which was a pretty funny moment. I enjoyed that part there. But overall, I've said I enjoyed this episode. It was a fun laid back episode. Of course, the rating with this episode will be a bit lower than the last episodes as not much happened and it wasn't really that enlightful, as I mean not much happened and it wasn't really that fun to watch. It felt like a bit boring and stuff at times, but overall I give this episode a 6.5 out of 10. It was a fun episode and I'm glad to see we are back to the more casual episodes of Steven Universe. Hopefully the next episode will come out soon. Maybe it gets aired in a different country earlier, but you never know. I hope we just get back to the normal schedule and no spoilers and no wars on whether it's spoilers, whether people dislike it or not happen. But yeah, I'm glad Steven Universe got this few parts left. It helped like die down the hiatus that we had. But I'm hoping to see more Star soon as well, because I really didn't like the hiatus there. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys for my next review.
Presented by Baba Booey Pizzeria Productions.